Next, we're going to think about the internal environment. And by that, I mean what is happening inside you, in your body, in your emotions, in your mind. And remember, again, with all of this, what we're thinking about is that glass and trying to keep the levels down so we've got a little bit of reserve. Essentially, what we're thinking about with the internal environment is anything that soothes the nervous system. If you remember back to that clip about fight or flight and the amygdala, the early threat system, always being slightly on alert because it's detecting threat everywhere. If we can do strategies and activities that soothe the nervous system and just bring that level of threat down a little bit, then the amygdala will be less likely to react. It will be less on alert. Zoe Fisher, in her talk on this website, the SameYou website, talks about well-being and things that we can do to promote well-being. So I really recommend you have a look at that video. But the kind of ideas that I'm talking about is anything that promotes, firstly, relaxation. So that can be different things for different people. It may be sitting quietly under a tree. It may be going for a massage, listening to some music. Anything that puts you into a state of relaxation regularly and with a good level of frequency is going to help you to soothe your nervous system and make the amygdala less likely to respond. Secondly, exercise is a wonderful way for working out agitation. It can also be very relaxing as well. Exercise that has a repetition to it, what we call flow, and again Zoe talks about this in her video, is particularly beneficial. It taps into particular brain waves that help us to soothe our nervous system. So if you're limited with your physical activity, think about gentle exercises just as effective, a gentle walk or seated Tai Chi. Anything that involves a rhythmic movement, some simple stretches can be effective. Thirdly, managing fatigue. Now, as we already talked about, fatigue can fill up that cup very, very quickly because of the amount of effort that it takes the brain to push through fatigue and just do the everyday, daily things. So anything around fatigue management is very important, and one of the biggest tips for managing fatigue is to make sure you take regular breaks. So you're allowing the brain some downtime to recover a little bit. And I always think it's a little bit like when your computer or your iPad has too many applications open and it freezes. And at that point, all you can do is turn the computer off and turn it back on again. So taking a break when you're feeling fatigued is a little bit like turning the computer off and turning it back on again. It's really important to give the brain time to shut down and then reboot. And then when it reboots, it has a little bit more focus. Next on the list there is mindfulness. Some of you may have heard of this. It's become very popular recently. It has a number of benefits. Firstly, it can tap into those other points that I mentioned about relaxation and about taking a break. Taking a break mindfully, specifically giving some time to consciously shut the brain down for a few moments and to turn off from any stimulation can be very refreshing for the brain, and it increases attention and can reduce irritability. But the other thing about mindfulness is it increases our ability to notice what's going on. Often we run through the day not really aware of what's happening to our bodies and not noticing the triggers and not noticing what our body is trying to tell us. By stopping for a few moments, for a few minutes, and doing some mindful activity or sitting mindfully and focusing on your breathing, it helps you to tap into what the body is doing right now. What's it telling you? Do you have tension in certain areas? Are you feeling fatigued? What do you need to do to make your body feel better at this point in time? The other interesting aspect of neuroscience for mindfulness is it's been shown to improve some functions of the frontal lobe. in terms of reducing distraction and improving attention. So if we think about the relevance for that frontal lobe circuit, surely anything that can help with those connections has got to be a good thing. And then thinking about what you're putting into your body. So that includes nutrition, hydration, making sure the body is hydrated and the body is full of nutrients is going to have a positive impact on the brain. And thinking about things like alcohol and whether that has a detrimental effect on your processing ability. If you have a drink, does that cup get fuller quicker? Do you become a little less inhibited, and are you maybe a little bit more prone to irritability if you've had a drink? And similarly with other substances, including prescribed medication. So if you're concerned that any of your prescribed medication is having an impact on your thinking skills, then do talk to your doctor about it. But don't stop taking medication until you've talked about it with a medical doctor.